Dollar Tree free samples, you've probably never seen one, and if you have, you probably thought you were hallucinating in the snack aisle. But here's the thing, they exist, they're real, and Dollar Tree has been quietly rolling them out across the country while nobody was paying attention. I've been investigating this for weeks. I talked to employees, I visited test stores, I crunched numbers, and I'm going to tell you everything I've learned, from the secret locations where they're happening, to the psychology that's completely different from Costco, to the business strategy that reveals what Dollar Tree is really planning for the next 5 years. And trust me, what they're not telling you is way bigger than free cheese puffs. Let's do it. First, let's talk about why this is such a big deal, because you have to understand where Dollar Tree came from. For 35 years, this company was built on one single promise. Everything is $1. $1, that was the entire brand. You walk in, you know exactly what you're getting, and it's all $1. But in 2021, they did the unthinkable. They broke the buck. Everything went to $1.25, and the internet lost its mind. People were furious, they felt betrayed. But here's what nobody realized at the time. That price increase wasn't just about inflation. It was step one of a complete corporate transformation. Step two was Dollar Tree Plus, where they started selling items for $3 and $5. And step three, the one they're not advertising, is free samples. Because you don't give away free food at a store where people think everything is garbage. You give away free food when you're trying to prove that your stuff is actually good. Now let's get into the business model, because it's completely different from what Costco does. And that's the key to understanding this whole thing. At Costco, the vendors pay. The manufacturers shell out $35 per station per store. They pay for their own products, their own utensils, their own everything. Costco just cashes the check. Dollar Tree can't do that. Their suppliers aren't big national brands with massive marketing budgets. A lot of their products are private label, off-brand, or from smaller manufacturers who can't afford to pay for sample stations. So Dollar Tree has to fund the samples themselves. And for a company with razor-thin margins, we're talking 30% gross margin compared to Costco's 12%, but on much, much smaller ticket sizes. Every dollar counts. A single sample station at Dollar Tree costs them about $50 a day to operate. That's the employee's time at minimum wage for a 4-hour shift, plus the product they're opening, plus the little paper cups and toothpicks. $50. Now multiply that across the roughly 200 test stores where they're doing this. That's $10,000 a day, over $3.5 million a year, just in operating costs. For a company that makes about $30 billion in annual revenue, $3.5 million is a rounding error. But you have to understand, Dollar Tree doesn't spend money on things that don't work. They are ruthlessly efficient. If they're spending $3.5 million on free samples, they are making that money back multiple times over. So where are these samples? This is the part nobody's talking about. They're not in every store, not even close. Dollar Tree has over 16,000 locations in the US and Canada. The free samples are in fewer than 200 of them. They're specifically in what they call Dollar Tree Plus stores, the ones that have been remodeled with wider aisles, better lighting, and dedicated sections for the $3 and $5 items. If you walk into a regular old Dollar Tree with the fluorescent lights and the cramped aisles and the smell of plastic, you're not finding free samples. You need the upgraded store, the one that's trying to look more like a mini Target. And here's the kicker. They don't advertise it. There's no sign outside that says free samples today, no announcement on the intercom. You just turn the corner into aisle 7 and there's a folding table with a lady in a green apron holding a tray of something. And if you're not paying attention, you walk right past it. They're not trying to attract crowds the way Costco does. They're trying to catch the regulars, the people who are already in the store every week, and slowly change their minds about what Dollar Tree can be. Let me give you some numbers, because I actually got access to internal data from a store manager who was willing to talk. And these numbers change the way I think about this entire strategy. On days when the sample station is active, the average customer basket at that store is $23.47. On days without samples, it's $14.82. That's a 58% increase in spending. 58%. And it's not just the sampled item. People who try the free sample end up buying more of everything. More snacks, more household items, more impulse purchases at the register. The entire basket swells. Here's another number. The products that get sampled sell out 3 times faster in the 2 weeks following a sample event compared to the same products in stores that don't do samples. 3 times. And the products aren't even on sale. Same price, same shelf placement. The only difference is that people tried it. Now let me break down the real psychology, because this is where it gets fascinating, and it's completely different from what happens at Costco. At Costco, the psychology is about abundance. You're already in a spending mindset. You drove there in your SUV. You're pushing a cart the size of a smart car. You're planning to drop $300. A free sample is just a little bonus, a tiny dopamine hit that makes the shopping experience more enjoyable. The free sample at Costco says, hey, you're already winning. Here's a little something extra. But at Dollar Tree, the psychology is completely inverted. You walk into Dollar Tree with skepticism. You're there because you need to stretch your budget. You expect cheap stuff. You expect lower quality. That's the bargain you've made with yourself. I'll accept lower quality because I'm paying less. The free sample at Dollar Tree does something radical. It challenges that assumption. When you taste a Dollar Tree frozen appetizer and it's actually good, like surprisingly good, your brain has to reconcile two conflicting ideas. This is from Dollar Tree versus this tastes good. That's cognitive dissonance. And the way your brain resolves it is by changing your opinion of Dollar Tree. You don't think, I guess I just got lucky with this one sample. You think, maybe this store has better stuff than I thought. And that shift, that tiny crack in your skepticism, is worth more to Dollar Tree than any single product sale. There's also the reciprocity effect. Psychologists have studied this for decades. When someone gives you something for free, even something small, your brain registers it as a social debt. You feel an unconscious obligation to give something back. At Costco, a free sample of a $15 product feels small. You're already spending hundreds. The sample is a rounding error. But at Dollar Tree, where everything is literally $1.25, a free sample of a $5 frozen meal feels significant. The perceived generosity is higher. Your brain does a subconscious calculation. They just gave me something worth $5 at a store where nothing costs more than $5. That's basically a whole product, and that makes the reciprocity pull stronger. You're more likely to buy not because the product was amazing, but because you feel like you owe them. Now here's something I learned that genuinely surprised me. When I first started researching this, I assumed, like I think most people would, that Dollar Tree would be sampling their $1.25 items. The cheap stuff, the high-volume basics. That's their brand. That's what people come for. But that's not what they're sampling at all. They're exclusively sampling the $3 and $5 items, the Dollar Tree Plus products. And when you think about it, the strategy is brilliant. A $1.25 item already sells itself. People already trust that price point. You don't need a free sample to convince someone to buy a $1 pack of cookies. But a $5 frozen dinner, a $3 bag of premium coffee, those are prices where people hesitate. That's where the "but it's Dollar Tree" skepticism kicks in hardest. The free sample is designed specifically to overcome the resistance at the higher price points. And here's the really clever part. If they can shift just one item in your basket from the $1.25 tier to the $5 tier, they've quadrupled their revenue on that slot in your cart. They don't need you to buy more items. They need you to buy the ones with higher margin. I also talked to the employees, and this is the part that I think most people will find surprising because it's so different from the Costco model. At Costco, the sample people don't work for Costco. They work for CDS, Club Demonstration Services, a completely separate company. They have no allegiance to Costco. They don't care if you buy anything. They're just hourly workers handing out little cups of frozen pizza. At Dollar Tree, the person handing out the sample is an actual Dollar Tree employee. They work for the store. They know the inventory. They know the layout. And here's what I found out. They're trained. There's an actual training protocol for the sample stations, and it includes something specific that Costco's people never do. After you try the sample, the employee is trained to say two things. First, they point you to exactly where the product is on the shelf. Aisle 9, middle shelf, right next to the pasta. And then, this is the key, they point you to a second product nearby. And if you like that, you should really try our garlic bread in the freezer section. It's a soft upsell disguised as a friendly recommendation. The employee doesn't feel salesy. The customer doesn't feel pressured. But the data shows that this two-product mention increases the chance of purchase by almost 40% compared to just pointing to the sampled product alone. It's subtle and it works. Let's talk about which samples perform and which ones bomb, because there is a clear pattern and it's not exactly what you'd expect. The best performers at Dollar Tree are frozen appetizers, mozzarella sticks, mini quiches, spring rolls, party food, the stuff you'd serve at a Super Bowl party. Those sample conversion rates are through the roof. North of 30% of samplers end up buying. Why? Because party food is social proof in a box. You taste it, you immediately imagine serving it to friends, and suddenly $5 for a box of frozen appetizers feels like a steal compared to what you'd pay at a regular grocery store. The second best category is snacks, particularly the off-brand versions of name-brand products. Dollar Tree has these knockoff Cheez-Its and knockoff Pirate's Booty that people are genuinely shocked by when they taste them. The surprise factor drives the purchase. The worst performers? Beverages. Energy drinks, flavored waters, iced teas. Nobody buys those from samples. The conversion rate is under 5%. Why? Because with a beverage, one sip isn't enough to make a decision. You need the whole can. Also, beverages are a personal preference thing. People are weirdly loyal to their specific drink brands. And the second worst? Candy. Which surprised me. I thought free candy would be a no-brainer. But it turns out people take the free candy, they like the free candy, and then they think, I don't need a whole bag of this. The guilt overrides the impulse. So Dollar Tree has largely stopped sampling candy and beverages. They're focused almost entirely on frozen foods, snacks, and occasionally beauty products like hand lotion or lip balm, things where a single use demonstrates value immediately. Now, I promised you practical information, so let me tell you when and where to actually find these samples, because it's not random. The sample stations operate on a specific schedule, Thursday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Those are the peak traffic hours for Dollar Tree's core demographic. Why Thursday? Because that's when a lot of people get paid. Dollar Tree's customer base skews toward households living paycheck to paycheck, and Thursday is statistically the most common payday in America. They want those customers coming in with fresh money in their account and discovering that Dollar Tree has quality products worth spending a little extra on. Why 11 to 4? Because that captures the post-school drop-off morning shoppers and the pre-dinner afternoon shoppers. It misses the after-work crowd, but Dollar Tree's data shows that the daytime shoppers are actually the higher-value customers. They spend more time in the store and are more likely to browse. Here's the bigger picture though, and this is what I think is the real story. This free sample program isn't really about free samples. It's about Dollar Tree's complete rebrand. For 35 years, they were the dollar store, the place you went when you were broke, the punchline of jokes. But the company's leadership has been very open in investor calls about where they're going. They want Dollar Tree to be a legitimate competitor to the budget aisles at Target and Walmart. Not a dollar store, a value retailer. And you can't make that transition with advertising alone. You can't run a TV commercial that says, "We're not just cheap stuff anymore," and expect people to believe it. You have to prove it. And the most effective way to prove that your products are good is to put them in people's mouths, for free. Every person who tries a Dollar Tree sample and is genuinely surprised becomes a word-of-mouth marketer for the brand. They tell their friends, they tell their coworkers, they post about it on social media. You won't believe what I found at Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree can't afford Super Bowl ads. They can afford $50 sample stations. And the ROI on that $50, when you factor in the word of mouth, the repeat visits, the basket size increase, and the long-term perception shift, is astronomical. The proof is in the numbers they've reported to investors. Stores in the test program are seeing comparable sales. That's same-store sales year over year, 12% higher than stores without samples. 12% is massive in retail. Most retailers would kill for a 3% comp increase. And Dollar Tree has confirmed they plan to expand the program to 500 stores by the end of 2026. That's still only a tiny fraction of their total footprint, which tells you they're being methodical. They're not going to roll this out to 16,000 stores overnight. They're collecting data, they're refining the approach, they're figuring out which products sample best in which regions. This is a long game. So here's my prediction, and you can bookmark this. Within 3 years, free samples will be in every Dollar Tree Plus store. Within 5 years, you won't be able to walk into any Dollar Tree anywhere without someone offering you a mini egg roll on a toothpick. Because the numbers don't lie. Free samples at Dollar Tree aren't a gimmick. They're not a temporary promotion. They're the most effective tool the company has ever found to change the way you think about their brand. And the fact that they've been doing it quietly, with no announcements, no press releases, no marketing push, that tells you they know exactly how powerful it is. They're not telling you because they don't have to. The samples are telling you themselves, one bite at a time. If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. We did a full investigation into which Dollar Tree products are actually worth buying and which ones are a total scam. The results surprised even me. Dollar Tree's best and worst buys, the ultimate tier list. Check it out. See you next time.